all gone. There we go. Kristan now has 13 locations.
13 or 14.
Make that 14. Can't even keep up. 14 locations. So not only is she the leader of the Mega Agent Expansion Division, she is an expansionist as well, and also part of our Market Center leadership as OP of the Scottsdale Southwest Market Center. So with that, Kristan Cole, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, good morning. Well, I remember something. Gary used to teach a class, and it was like at 7 a.m. day 3 of family reunion. And he said, because only the people who really want to learn are going to be there. And so I'm assuming that this is the group that wasn't out till 2 in the morning, and they really want to learn something. So congratulations for being here this morning. You would do me a huge favor if we could move to the center. Would that be possible? Kind of scooch over in the middle. That would make it easier on me. So I'm going to try to do this without my cane. I broke my leg last month, so moving around is kind of hard. Okay, so thank you. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. So this morning, we're going to talk about how you can actually increase your profitability, increase culture, increase conversations in your market center through working with and through expansion agents. So how many of you are in market center leadership of some kind this morning? Okay. And then how many of you are agents and you're not in market center leadership? So a few of you. So what we talk about, how many of you have been to ESO, Expansion Systems Orientation? Okay, so the one thing that I will encourage all of you who are interested in expansion, especially from the leadership perspective, is to make sure that you attend one of the ESOs this year. We have them a couple of times a month. This month we're going to be in Boston and New Jersey. And next month in March we're going to be in Scottsdale and Austin, Texas. And Scottsdale also, you might want to jot this down, we're having an expansion summit in Scottsdale. So the 20th and 21st we will have ESO, and the 22nd and 23rd we're going to have an expansion summit. So what's an expansion summit? Think of it as mega camp for expansion agents, or mega camp for agents who maybe want to become expansion agents or become expansion partners. So it's going to be a day and a half of really action-packed panels and discussions with Ben Kenny, Chris Suarez, Cody Gibson, Leann, what's your last name? Kidding. She's my expansion director, so I can tease her. But, you know, Leann Harris, Hope, Tony, so they're all going to, there's a great group that's going to be there speaking and teaching on expansion, and honestly, you heard Gary say it at the vision speech on the basics. How do you take the basics and expand with them? And what does that look like? And then also we'll have key hire breakouts. So for your expansion directors, your leaders of lead generation, your directors of operations, we're going to have breakouts specifically for those key hire positions. So be thinking about coming to an ESO here this year, and if you can, certainly put the Expansion Summit in your agenda and calendars as well. So this morning, we're going to talk for about 45 minutes, and then we're going to leave some time for questions, because I bet you'll have a lot of questions. So let's get started this morning. First of all, I want each one of our panelists to introduce themselves, and please let them know, especially so they can understand maybe the perspective you're coming from, the different hats that you may wear, because I know that Hope, you wear more than one hat with Keller Williams, and so do you, Leann. And so if you would explain the different hats that you wear as well, and where you're from, and whether or not you have expansion agents actually in your market center now.
So my name is Leann Harris. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I'm a team leader. I'm also the director of expansion for the Kristan Cole Network. We are, like she said, in 14 locations. In my office as a team leader, I have 12 expansionists, people that are actually expanding, or their team is actually located in my office. And I think that's about it. That's it. That's it. You get the mic.
Keep it rolling.
She's improving.
We're gonna be
She's getting better.
entertaining for you guys this morning.
Hello, my name is Tony Hughes, and I'm the team leader for the Scottsdale Market Center with Kristan Cole. And I am kind of the new kid on the block. I've been with Keller Williams for about 15 months and have never had really a background in real estate. However, I have been an expansionist for the last 21 years in a different, really in a different arena. So I know what expansion looks like. And I'm super excited about the opportunities that we have happening right now in Scottsdale. We've got 5 expansion teams right now. We have 5 to 6 more that have already committed to come back or come into our market center this year. And so we're going to have a very, very busy year. But that's my story.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Hope Brazzell. I'm the team leader in Franklin, Tennessee. I've been a team leader for 5 years there in that particular market center. I also am a Southeast region representative with the Group 4610 network. I'm one of the expansion teams out of Phoenix, Arizona, so I'm helping them grow and expand their business in the Southeast region of Keller Williams. And those are the 2 main hats, so we'll stick there and dive into the content.
Awesome. So one of the questions that comes up a lot at ESO is, what is the value proposition that market centers have for expansion agents, and what's that value proposition that the expansion agent has for the market center? So this morning, would you guys talk about what that win-win relationship looks like? Because I think that there's a lot of folks out there that are wondering, how do we make this work? How do I help my agents in my market center not be fearful of expansion agents? How does this instead be something that actually will help them? So tell us what those conversations look like and the commitments that you guys make in that expectation dialogue to one another, and then how that actually gets walked out in the market center. So talk to us, Leann, about win-win relationships.
So I think, honestly, people make it way more confusing than it is. If you are a leader in your market center, you already know how to run it. And you guys are awesome because you're up here early this morning, you already know how to do it. It's not confusing. You just treat them like every other agent. You treat them just like anybody else. And I'm going to tell you that the word expansion needs to constantly be coming out of your mouth for every single agent you're talking to. So once I learned the ESO portion, I just started talking about expansion, and I started working with people in the market center to grow even into the communities next door, which is what we talk about in ESO. With that, it became talent magnet. So we recruited 141 people last year, and honestly, it's Casey Muller is an amazing assistant team leader. So I couldn't have done that on my own, but it was because of our agents. And because of the way that you guys all show up every single day, people want to continue growing inside the market center, and so you win just simply because you're talking about it. I swear, that's how easy it is.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've noticed about, first of all, I just have to tell you, because I don't have a background with Keller Williams, I'm kind of, I guess, scratching my head sometimes trying to figure out what's the downside for expansion. There is none, right? For me, at least, I haven't seen that. But one of the things that we have seen in our market center has been you can just literally see the lid being raised because of the talent that comes in. I almost think about it like, we're all leaders. Would you not want John Maxwell to come to your market center? Would you be, fearful that he's going to take less of your leadership away from you? Absolutely not. He's just going to simply raise the lid, and that's really what's happening in our market center. The value that some of our younger agents are getting from the expansion teams is innumerable. You can't even count the value points there. So it's really just for us been an absolute breath of fresh air to have that new blood coming into our market center, new ideas, new excitement, and really it maybe causes a little bit of questions at first, but because they're such high-level professionals, it raises everybody to a new standard, to a new level. It's just been amazing to watch.
So I'll echo the same thing that Leann and Tony just said, and what I'll add to that is that ultimately the very first moment that I heard about expansion, it was 3 years ago. It was We had just began the conversation around it. And as soon as I heard the concept, it was no doubt in my mind that my role as a team leader, your role as a team leader in the Market Center, is to create a platform and give agents an opportunity to grow a business with what we're there stewarding, correct? And if that is the case, ultimately, the expansion teams who want to expand and grow their businesses, they're utilizing our platform to do that. It's what we are supposed to do. Open arms and welcome new businesses into your Market Center. And what a great new business to welcome into your Market Center, because it's a business that's already part of Keller Williams. It was just the ultimate win for me. It gave me an opportunity in Franklin, Tennessee, which, if you don't know where that's at, it's just about 10 minutes outside of Nashville. It gave me an opportunity to be in business relationships with literally the top of the top of the top agents in the company who are growing these massive networks. And that was the pond that I wanted to be in. It was a complete win. Win for the Market Center, win for me, win for the agents who are going to be part of those businesses. It just made complete and total sense. And literally, early adopter right here, 3 years ago. 6 times ESO, highly recommend. If you've not been, please go to ESO.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Hope, because sometimes people think they've been to ESO one time and they don't need to come back. So you've been 6 times. I teach the same material, so how has it impacted you differently as you've come back and taken it again and again?
So for me, I feel like the first time I went, because it was such a new conversation, you're trying to wrap your mind around it. You're wrapping your mind around the model. You're wrapping your mind around the lingo and the vocabulary. It's just like when you first come to Keller Williams and you're learning all of our wonderful, we have an acronym for everything. So there's that same learning curve there in the expansion world. So it's being able to continue to learn. So that first time you go, you're taking it in. And just like when you would go back and take Recruit Select again or take Career Visioning again, you're going to go, and every time you go, you're ramping up your level of understanding. And obviously we're all moving toward mastery here in this process. So when you go, you're simply giving yourself another opportunity to grab that next nugget that's going to be impactful. And again, keeping in mind, when you are the team leader saying, hey, expand with me, when they show up, you need to be extremely ready to have a very high-level business conversation. We're not bringing on new agents here, or mid-level half-cappers or cappers. We're bringing on business conversations, and they are well aware of the conversation they want to have with you. So it just behooves you to be the master on your side of the fence.
And I wanted to bring up this morning for all of you who are thinking about coming this year and thinking about, who's the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 agent in your, in your market area that would be a good person to bring who's not with the company yet. June is the month to come. So if we only offer this once a year, and we offer it always in June. So if you are in leadership or you're an agent and you would like to bring somebody, a guest, who's not with our company, you can bring that guest for free in June. So June ESO in Austin, Texas, someone from leadership must attend with them, because you can imagine they're going to have tons of questions, right? I mean, I see Billy sitting here, and he's one of my expansion agents, and he was with an independent company and was invited by the team leader to come to ESO and learn the systems and models, and the team leader had contacted me and said, I think he'd be a good fit for your network. And he came to ESO, he joined Keller Williams, and now he's a big part of our company. So take advantage of that opportunity to bring a guest for free in June, okay? If you want to know what all the dates are that we have for ESO this year, you can go to the Keller Williams homepage or MyKW, click on home, go to expansion, and all of them are listed there. Or you can come by our booth and see us, and we can give you a piece of paper with all the dates. So Leann, let me come back to you. How specifically does expansion increase the profitability of a market center?
I keep having to give shout outs to my team because my MCA is sitting there, so she knows how much money we're bringing in. You know, right, the whole purpose of running a business is for profitability, right? So you have to know what is coming through the door and what you're going to gain by getting into business with people, but also having the high-level conversations with the people that are in your market center and they're ready to expand. And I'm specifically thinking about just this totally wild guy named Jordan Mayton and what he's done for our market center. So I'm going to talk about him because he's not a person you guys have heard of. And I think you all have people in your market center like this. So Jordan was, a $4 million producer at best when I got into business with him, and I just kept having the conversation. You need to expand, you need to expand, you need to expand. So here's what Jordan has done for me, the market center, for our team, for the staff, for our families. He grew his team to 13 people from one assistant that he kept rotating in and out constantly. Didn't know how to do our STLM, and that was what we were teaching back then. So I started teaching RS in the market center every single month and got him to understand how to expand. So I was still having conversations over here with the big dogs, but I wanted to have conversations with my people inside the market center that were really talent, and it was untapped talent. So leaned into Jordan pretty hard and got pretty fierce with him and said, dude, you need to do this. So now he's in 3 locations. He has 13 people and he has a recruiting website that he's running constantly. There's not a day that I walk past any of our conference rooms without his director sitting in there doing a recruiting appointment for me. I'm like, this is awesome. It's the ultimate leverage. As soon as you learn how to do this, it is the ultimate leverage. Your life looks amazing and the profitability just starts flowing. So of course, he continued to cap. He brought on multiple half cappers, and that of course has increased our bottom line. And that's only one example.
So Tony, I see Jamie Cox sitting here, and Jamie was just in your office a week or so ago interviewing expansion agents. So tell us how profitability has affected your market center, specifically. And if you need help, our MCA sitting back there too.
Yes, Rockstar. I just love seeing our executive team back there. It's great to have that support here. Jamie is just expanding into our market center. And first of all, Jamie, I just think you're one cool dude. He's just a great leader, and I'm just excited to see you wearing shoes and pants today. It's nice because he's pretty casual. You fit right into Scottsdale, by the way. The profitability is an absolute no-brainer. I had the opportunity to recruit through a referral from an agent in Florida, a lady that just came into our market center with another expansion team, and she brought her daughter with her, and she was interviewed by the 5 Doors Network and brought her on board as their team leader. And her goal, what I've learned about expansionists is they are literally expansionists in every aspect of their business. And her goal this year is 30 recruits. Jamie, I'm not sure we even talked about how many people you want to have on your team by the end of this year, but I guarantee it's going to be a lot. But
now let's just stop right there. Let's just absorb that. Can you imagine if you had 2, 3, 4, 5 expansion agents in your market center whose goal was to recruit 30 people to your market center each, or to recruit 10, or just to recruit 5? Do you see where this is headed? Because typically they don't just recruit 1. They'll go 3, 4, 5 deep, or like with 5 Doors, 30 deep. Well, when you start adding agents that are productive and they're being recruited for the team leader into the market center, I mean, is this a good, country or what, right? It's awesome. And so you start to see the effects of it, and we want to talk about all the effects, because it's not just financial. Leann and Hope alluded to some of the high-level conversations. And just by Jamie being in our office and having interviews with folks, I mean, it says something. And Jamie, he's sitting here, and so I'm picking on him a little bit. He only became an expansionist a year or 2 ago. And so you see, now he's in his main hub's in Las Vegas, and he's now started expanding. And so these are up and coming names that you probably haven't even heard of. that have the opportunity to literally, add 5, 6, 7 cappers in your market center. I mean, and they're being led by and being trained by the expansion business that's come into your market center. So it doesn't take resources away. This is one of those things that Gary says is a no-brainer. It's the brain dead opportunity of the century. And it's true, because everywhere we look, there's a win. There's a win for everyone, and I love that.
So yeah, I mean, the profitability, just do the math. It's if you have 2, 3, 5, 10 expansion teams coming in, and they bring in a full capper and 5 or 10 or 15 or 30 half cappers, it doesn't take a mathematician to figure out how that affects your bottom line. And the thing that's intangible, that's becoming very evident to me, is the impact that these expansion teams, Kristan Cole Network obviously, and the others that are in our market center are having on the positive impact they're having on all of the agents. And it offers an opportunity for additional profitability in the market center for those agents that maybe are struggling. They're not, maybe they're not connecting well with their coach or what have you, and then they meet one of the expansion team leaders and they find a home there, and now all of a sudden, as we're seeing in our market center, agents who were struggling before, now they're on these high-level expansion teams, and now they're starting to produce, and we're seeing bottom line results from that. So again, Kristan, I'm the new kid on the block. I'm still learning expansion, but I cannot see any negatives whatsoever in this amazing opportunity.
So what about you, Hope? What are you seeing? Anything to add with the conversation about profitability?
What I'll add to that is just to, and you asked the question when we were chatting last week about it, having direct information to say, are you your market center and the profits coming in, and having a trend line to look at. And so we are an example of a market center that I have a definitive trend line of our market center prior to expansion, now embracing expansion for the last couple of years. I mean, our owner profit has increased 84% year over year since stepping in and really embracing the expansion conversation. Now, obviously, all of that has not come through expansion. The expansion piece, though, has definitely been part of that for us.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about when the onboarding process, and talk a little bit about standards. So when the expansion agents come and sit down with you and say, gosh, I'd like to have a conversation about expanding in your market center, do you guys have a conversation with them about expectations, and what does that look like?
Absolutely. So about a year or so ago, I just felt as though when the expansion partner wanted to come and have that conversation, that I think many of you have probably heard, or I have heard, we've had these conversations many times in the Southeast region. The team leader is the biggest mega agent in town. You are the biggest mega agent in town. And so when you think about it like that, when the expansion partner shows up, you need to show up as well. And so it was very important to me that when they came to have a conversation, that I had some things that I was looking for as well. I had a set of standards, and I had a set of expectations of what we were about to do. So I actually put pen to paper and wrote an expansion covenant, per se, very similar to the ALC covenant, and outlined what we're going to do for you and what you are going to do for us. Training, Skyping in for team meetings or ALC retreats. Just, does that make sense? It was very important to me. It's not the Magna Carta, right? And I'll share it with anybody that wants it. You can use it or not use it. But that was very important to me, just to feel like we were having those conversations on the front end. And again, it let them know that they had absolutely chosen the best market center to expand to, because we were there and ready to do it. We were ready, had systems in place for it. And just really quick, Kristan.
Let me stop you a second, Hope, because what I want them to hear, most of the time when there's a disagreement, is it because of unmet expectations? Would you guys agree? So I want you guys to hear how purposeful that these team leaders are being by having those things in place up front. Because if you put the work in the front end with expectations, and people understand what's expected and what they can expect from us, then the likelihood that there'll be a misunderstanding is minimized. So having that covenant or those expectations dialogue and being very purposeful about it when you first start, and I'm going to use Jamie again, when Jamie looked at coming into our market center, he came first and met with us and had a conversation about what that would look like before he ever started recruiting. So I want you guys to hear, what this looks like and what you can expect and what you should be expecting. And the second piece, and then I'm going to go back to Hope, is that one of the first questions you should be asking them is, have they been to ESO and are they a member of Expansion? Because if they're not, then the answer, we have a regional director sitting here in Georgia, would be, yes, of course you can expand after you've been to ESO and you're a member of the Expansion Division. Because I don't have to say it, Georgia would say it for me, because the biggest challenges we have with expansion are with agents who are trying to expand, as Gary would say, they're trying to swim the English Channel without ever having taken swimming lessons. So do yourself a favor and ask that question and make sure that you're getting into business with people who know what they're doing. So back to you, Hope.
Well, I just wanted to say that the biggest, having those standards and being ready to have that conversation when they're coming in, it gives great clarity. It just gives great clarity to what we're all here to do, which is grow a business. And ultimately, I want to grow the market center. And everybody else kind of gave a shout out to their support in the crowd. So my OP, Bill Haggard, who gave me the opportunity and has given me tremendous support to continue to grow his market center in Franklin, is here with me today. And so is my rock star agent services, who onboards all of the wonderful expansion partners. They're here supporting me. So thanks, guys.
So Tony, what does that expectations conversation, and it is a conversation, and this, you guys, if you heard it yesterday on stage with Gary, this is about relationships. Understand that. And while Georgia's sitting here, she's the regional director of the North Florida region. I want to go back to the Billy conversation. Before I ever expanded with Billy, I met with Georgia and said, here's our plan. I'd like to expand into your region. Would that be okay? And here's what our mission, visions, values, beliefs, and perspective are. Here's our vision for that. And so we very much, the relationships are so critical and so important. I can't stress that enough. Is be having conversations with your regional directors, with your OPs, with your team leaders, and make sure everybody is on board. So Tony, what does that look like for you, the expectations and the conversation with agents?
Having just recently had a conversation with Jamie, and I really appreciate the fact he set an appointment up. We met in my office for quite a long time. And really, it's just like any other agent doing a needs analysis and finding out exactly what the expectations are from our expansionists, what their needs are, what their wants are, what their desires are, what they're going to need from our market center. And it's really, for me, that's it, is finding out from them exactly what they need and how we can support those needs, how we can support their growth, their goals, their vision. And I look at it just like I do anything else, that I'm looking for a symbiotic relationship with these expansionists. I want to have a win-win for everybody involved. And probably the only expectation that I just make sure we clarify is that, hey, look, for whatever reason, if someone doesn't work out on your team, can we both team up and make sure that they are still happy with Keller Williams, that they stay with our market center? And that's always, of course, yes, we're gonna work together to make sure that happens. So that's really it.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because funny thing is, yesterday our network was having a little get-together over here, and a gentleman named Carl Eisenberg walked up talking to me. And Carl was a perfect example of that. Carl and I originally did expand in Scottsdale together, and Carl is an awesome agent, and he is now growing his business, but we decided to not continue with the expansion piece. But Carl's still in our market center. He is still building his business, and yesterday we probably had a 30-minute conversation just about how much he appreciates everything that we're doing. And so that's so critical that you also, that if it doesn't work out, for whatever reason, that they do feel like there's still a win for them to stay in the market center. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so let's get down to some nuts and bolts. So what do the systems that you guys have had to put in place? And I say that because what I just heard you say with the dialogues that you're having is the same conversation you would have with any agent. And so my guess is the systems are probably the same too, but my guess is by onboarding a lot of these folks, you might have broken some of your systems and had to go back and regroup. So tell us, Leann, what does that look like in your market center? What systems have you either had to put in place, reinforce, or shore up? Or maybe that hasn't happened. Tell us what it looks like.
So I'm gonna just tie back in really quick on the expectation piece that I had the pleasure of spending an entire week with Mary Tennant down in Mexico, and I remember her saying this to me, and I almost wanted to crawl out of my skin. She said, "Leann, you need to do it for them first, and then give them credit publicly. Stop trying to get them to come to your expectations. Stop trying to get them to do what you want to do." And I thought that was really interesting. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How much harder can I work right now, right? And that's what I was thinking in the minute, right? But Mary Tennant's brilliant, so I decided to take her advice, and I went back and I decided to do it for them and then give them credit publicly. So there's specifically a very large team that's in our company that I recruited every single person on his team. And honestly, that was the beginning of my expansion. I recruited every single person. Like, they were my friends from childhood. They're all in my downline because they were my buddies, right? So, and then I gave them credit publicly and said, you guys did an amazing job. Now, what that did for me is had all these people start following me around saying she can do it. So my expectations are really funny, the way that I show up on it. And then the system that I put into place after I did it the first time and gave somebody credit, okay? So I just want to lay that out there for you guys, that that's probably one of the things that you're going to have to do when you first get into it. So then I decided that because this person was broken, I mean, quite frankly, they are completely rogue sometimes. And you're like, hey, whoa, come back here. What are you doing? We're not doing that. I thought we talked about that. No. And you're like, come on back, people. So here's the thing. They are rogue. So what I did is I put into place Monday through Friday, we have a program. It's just a stagnant calendar, and then I put all the other great KWU stuff around it. So on Mondays, we do compliance and contracts. If you're not positioned in my market center, you have to come to compliance and contracts if you've done, less than 3 transactions in the last 6 months. You have to. Otherwise, we come find you. And then on Tuesdays, we do a team meeting to talk about what's going on in the market so that you look like an expert. Then on Wednesday, we do dot loop training, right? So don't come to me when you all of a sudden have a transaction. We do dot loop training every Wednesday. It's not going to change. So here's the thing. Your stagnant calendar might look like something else, but put it into place and they just plug right into it. And what it does is it leaves all the questions that are going to come because they're rogue. They're rogue. They are pirates. I'm just letting you know. So that's okay. Totally fine. Bring your little pirate self right over here. We like money. So come on in, and then I'm going to put a system in place. So anytime I got a question or I had a concern or a fascination, I took that fascination and turned it into a class and made sure that that's what happened in our market center every single week.
So what I hope you hear her saying is they have a robust training calendar about the basics. And what I also want you to hear her talking about is, do you know how attractive that is to an expansion agent to know that those things are being taught in the market center? Because quite frankly, we may be in 15 locations or 14 or whatever the number is. I don't know how to write a contract in Florida. I don't want to know how to write a contract in Florida, but I want Billy to know. And so it's very, very attractive to expansion agents when they know there's a robust training calendar, that there are expectations that our agents will attend broker training, contracts, dot loop. And guys, doesn't this just sound like what normal business people would do, right? And so, I love the fact that when she had a fascination, she just created a class around it. And so most of the issues that come up with the expansion are not people issues, they're system issues. So fix the system. Like Gary says, we're going to fail, but fix it fast. So I love that you shared that. So what else can you guys offer about your training or your training calendars that has helped with, expansion agents? And of course it helps with all of your agents, but in particular, like Leann said, where sometimes agents want to go rogue. So how has training been an attractor and also something that has helped continue standards in your market center?
So for us, the training calendar is very similar to what Leann just said. It really pressed us to be very intentional with the training calendar. We had a very solid training calendar, and this was a system in place that we had an opportunity to improve upon. Creating consistency with the classes was imperative, really, for everybody, let's be honest. It's easier, it's leverage at a high level, please do it. Keeping in mind that the expansion partner coming in, especially if it is one of the larger expansion partners, they have a training and support system in place for their whole world. If you have a training calendar that's relatively, stagnant with the big stuff, it allows them to layer that directly into the platform that they are already operating on. So it's like you're speaking the same language. They're getting their training piece, their support piece from their hub, but they have just taken your platform and layered it into their world. So we're all on the same page. It was very, very important for us. The other thing that we did not realize, and Kristan alluded to it, was the contract piece of things. This seems to be very like a big aha that we should have maybe been aware of. However, it's not until you get in the moment where you realize, oh wow, we do things differently in Tennessee than they do in Arizona, slightly, when it comes to contracts. And so it was very important. Very quickly we realized, oh, hold up, we have not really impressed upon some of our expansion partners how imperative it is to be at that contracts class that our broker teaches twice a month, at the same time. So that was a learning experience for us, but it's imperative.
But what I also hear you saying is, just like with an expansion agent, when they begin to expand, even if they thought their hub was amazing, their hub gets better. What I hear you guys saying is, because of expansion, your hub in your market center is better.
Oh, even down to the system. I think that for us, we probably learned the most in was our processing of the contract. Right, when the contract is written, how that comes in, moving it through the MCA office, knowing how it ties back, ultimately to the hub of that expansion partner. We learned very quickly that I can talk to the rainmaker on the expansion team all I want. It's fantastic. We have great conversations. I can talk to their partner on the ground, and it's fantastic. It's a wonderful conversation. However, my MCA, she needs to talk to who's running the hub, not me. At all. They need great clarity on what those processes look like. My amazing back office needs to know their amazing back office so that they can communicate directly and efficiently for all of the processing that takes place on the back side of that.
Agreed. So let's talk about communication, because they kind of alluded to that. So how does communication, how do you communicate with expansion agents, with the back office? How do you do that at a high level with expansion businesses? What does communication look like?
For me, the expansion teams that are in my market center, they've all had a little bit of different take on that. Some of them have weekly calls, weekly or monthly webinars. Many of them copy me on just communication that they feel like I need to be part of, kind of what's going on in their world. And I'm just proactive in reaching out to them as well. And when I'm making, all of my touches through the market center, the the individuals who I know are in that expansion bubble, I just make sure that I'm reaching out not only to their local team or their local partner, but also back to their hub, back to the contact that I have, just making sure that, again, we're all on the same page with that. So I would say it's very up to the individual. The expansion teams that I have in my market center who are local, so local within the same MLS, that's a much easier conversation. Those are people that I actually already have relationships with, so I meet them for a cup of coffee, right? We have a standing monthly meeting just to sit down and make sure everything's going okay. So I think it's going to depend, but communication is key.
Well, and I hope you heard what she said, how much easier it is. There's less complexity when it's a local expansion. The complexity adds up when it's someone from outside of even just outside of your MLS.
And being transparent, I have one of the larger expansion teams in the company. They were my first coming in, the Group 4610 network. They are the longest standing expansion team in my market center. I've had others that have attempted. It has not worked. It hadn't been sticky, right? However, to go back to what you had said, even though the expansion wasn't successful, the agents that they planted in my market center were successful with KW. They did not leave KW when the expansion opportunity did not work out for them. So that is absolutely a win at a high level. The local, I've had bigger, or I won't say bigger, I've had quicker success with my local expansion teams coming literally from across town. Maybe it's a 30 or 45-minute drive. Those expansions into my market center have been extremely successful. So again, and that's the model, Kristan,
sure,
which we teach at ESO. There's a model, and the model is to expand locally and very well before you go outside of your zone, and I'm an example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tony, Leann, do you have anything to add about communication?
Oh, sure. It's, Kristan, and the thing that's beautiful about working with the expansionist is it's really, there's no stress or strain. It's just like everything else. It all starts in the very beginning, communicating with these leaders, finding out what their expectations are, so that when we do have a miss, if we do have a miss, we can go back to the original communication and kind of circle back. But to me, there hasn't been really any extra stress. It's just really diving deep into that initial conversation, figuring out what their vision is, what their goals are, what their intentions are, how big they're going to grow. I can tell you, going back to the systems question, Kristan, as you know, it definitely, when you have these expansion teams coming in, it definitely presents some challenges, particularly for a new guy. But things like, office space and finding places for making lead generation calls and that sort of thing. But for me, it's part of the thing, right? If we have an issue, it's just going back at a very high level, professional level, and communicating professionally with those expansion teams. I feel like right now, in this panel right now, surrounded by these three amazing women, you can't help but grow when you have these communication sessions with these expansion leaders. They're brilliant, they're aggressive, they're smart, and they have big dreams, and you can't help but grow. Everybody around these leaders are growing professionally because of their vision.
Rock, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
I would just say one thing about communication. If you look at your CAP calendar and your top 20%, you guys are coaching who? Top 20, right? Where you're supposed to be. I don't know how many people you guys have in your market center, but all of a sudden you're like, there's not enough time in the day to coach all of those people, right? So you need to find the leverage a little bit, and you want to make sure that they have MAPS coaches, and you want to make sure that you've got some of that leverage going. And when you have a $40 million producer in your office, you have to provide value, because they want to go somewhere else if you're not providing the value, right? We talk about this every Friday on John Davis's call, all the value. So I have one of the pirates in my office. He's my OP, and I don't get in his way. I don't talk to him. He doesn't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to him. Like, you do your thing, bro. I'll do mine. We love each other, and that's how we roll. But I have to still provide value because he is a producer, and he adds income to my market center, right? So I treat him just like I would any other agent. And what I do for him is actually coach to whatever pain he's having in his organization. So on my calendar every week, you'll find somebody that is definitely should not have in my office. They might be a director of ops. They might be, it might be the buyer division. It might be somebody like that. But once a week for 30 minutes, I give that team just 30 minutes of my time, but not to the rainmaker because they really don't need me. They need me in the pain point. So that's what I help. That's where my communication comes in.
I love that. And you guys brought up a great point about MAPS coaching. Not only MAPS mastery coaching and my MAPS coach, well, he was here a few minutes ago, but also the group coaching program. You know, there are a lot of ways to leverage training for expansion agents. It's Your Calendar is one of them, and then also using the MAPS group coaching program and the mastery program, because my MAPS coach is also Tony's MAPS coach. And so that communication, it makes communication for us a lot easier because we're both operating from the same playbook, the same set of rules. So just want to put a plug in there for MAPS coaching because I have an investment with 5 Mastery MAPS coaching contracts. And it's a wonderful investment that has paid off really well. Okay, so now we've talked about all the good things, but have there ever been challenges with expansion?
Please get my face on a giant screen. I mean, have you guys seen the Jack Ace pictures, by the way? Have you taken a picture of Jack Ace? Jason Abrams. Jason Abrams isn't the biggest thorn in my side. No, I'm just kidding. I love that guy. Jason's in my office, actually. So issues, you know, I'm going to tell one other piece about my expansion agents as well, and kind of about the stickiness and making sure that those agents stay with you, because honestly, our retention in the company, sometimes I'm like, whoa, why do we have that door going? It drives me crazy. So Jason sent me a message and he said, Leann, what do you want me to do for you this year? Tell me all the trainings that you want me to do. I said, I don't. I want you to really love on your people, and I want to make sure that they're happy in our organization, and that's all I care about. I can get our market center rolling and I can get things happening, but I want you to really love on your people, and that's been amazing. It's just been amazing to have that happen with. So just to kind of go back on the communication, we've had people that have come in and left, and I think the biggest issue that I find is that the agents on the ground are the ones that suffer the most. So I learned this from a title company that I used to work for, and they said, attach the person to as many people as you can possibly attach them to. And I thought that was brilliant. So what I did is, thank you to my MAPS coach, Brian Martin, who told me that your staff needs to be doing 210-40s, right? You all do 210-40s if you're in leadership, right? So why is your staff not doing a 210-40 every single week, month, day? So pretty soon what we did is we started attaching those people back into our market center so that we didn't lose them. Again, it's just the retention piece that was the problem for me, but that's just a piece that I would love to see you guys implement with your staff. So they just make 2 phone calls a day, and the phone call is not, hey, is there anything I can help you with? That's my biggest pet peeve. It's, hey, I saw you yesterday in the hall and it looked like you were a little bit frustrated. What was missing from your day that we can implement so that you can have a better career, that you can have better closings? What is the one thing that we can make happen for you? And that's helped us tremendously.
Great. I hope you guys wrote that down, because those, as Mike Fleming would call them, I care calls, those people want to know that you care about them. Tony, you do a good job at this.
Well, this is probably the, obviously finding the talent is always going to be a challenge with any team. It doesn't matter if it's an expansion team or not. So that's clearly something that it's a work in progress. I think one of the things, Jamie, you and I had this conversation when you came in, and I built a team that is, today it's about 160,000 distributors with another company. And in order for me to have built that organization, I had to have significant conversations with people to find people that had that leadership ability. And I think one of the things that, one of the challenges for me is coaching the expansionist on how important it is to do it right the first time, to make sure that we are doing KPAs with anyone that you're looking at bringing into the market center, so that it takes a lot of work to find really good talent. It's not an easy process, but it pays off so big in the long run if you will slow down to speed up. So I think that's probably my most significant challenge, is helping that expansionist understand how important it is for them to come into our market center or into our market. We have, Kristan, as you know, a lot of out-of-state expansion teams that are in our market center, which presents a significant challenge for them. But as I assured Jamie, if he would come into our market center and find the people, break bread with them, do the KPAs, build the relationship, sift and sort, and find that one person, that good leader with a couple of bench people, we can blow it up. With, John Maxwell, everything rises and falls on what? Leadership. So when we can find that one leader to grow roots in our market center, deep roots, and that all starts with relationship. It all starts with what's their dream, what are their desires, what is their goal, where do they want to go with their life. And my job is to help facilitate that whole process at a very high level. And so I think it's just, really coaching and training and helping them understand, let's not do this churn and burn thing. Let's really take the time and find that leader that you need. Once we have that platform, that foundation, that leadership in place, the rest is easy, because everything rises with leadership. And that's, I think, Kristan, that's it.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because you've heard the word platform several times this morning. Gary talked about that yesterday several times. Build the platform. Build the platform. Put the work in the front end. Use career visioning. I just want to make a point. When he talked about Sonia, who moved from another company to Keller Williams and became the leader for a very big expansion in our market center, we attracted her by her coming to the career visioning class and her learning that she said, I'm an owner in other franchises, and she said, no one has this. Our company does. And using the career visioning process and KPAs and putting that work in the front end will save you so much time on the back end. So make sure you're using the tools that our company is providing right there for you.
So I echo the same thing said here, and what I would add to it is, in context of where we're sitting today, everyone here is obviously bought into expansion at some level, at least interested in learning more about it, or you're in it, right? So for me, the point that I would just have all of us just kind of wrap our mind around is that ultimately we are talking about a small percentage of our overall agent base that will participate in it, do it well, do it big. And so keeping in mind, in my market center, since I was a very early adopter 3 years ago, I'm on the bandwagon, I'm waving the banner, all about expansion. It was my agent base in my market center that was a little bit of a challenge, because they were really, this is a new shiny object, what is this? And it was a scarcity mindset at a high level. And so my advice to you on that is make sure that you are really explaining to them what it is, helping them understand that this is abundance at the highest level within the company. And that takes a little time, and everybody has an energy in their market center, and they're gonna follow your lead on it. So my advice is get in front of it, educate them. I had different classes about expansion. I had a drip campaign going out about expansion, just to deflate the issue. There wasn't an issue at all. And that started with me, and it disseminated down through my leadership team, the ALC, and ultimately to the agent base. When they realize that this is absolutely nothing to be scared of. These are individuals coming into our market center here to grow businesses just like I do. It has been embraced with open arms. So wasn't a huge challenge, and yet many market centers I do feel like are faced with that. So just get out in front of it.
One other thing that you can do, how many of you are aware that we have a certification course called ESO Lite? Okay, so I even see Lisa in the back there, one of our instructors. So ESO Lite is a 4-hour course. So think of when we had Mega Recruit Select. It was a version of Recruit Select to attract agents to take the full 2-day course, right? This is the same thing. It's a 4-hour course on a 40,000-foot view of what expansion is that you can teach to your own agents in the market center, and also agents that you're trying to recruit. And you can become certified to teach that course. Our certification process is not long or lengthy, but one requirement is you must come to ESO. You must have taken ESO. So if you'd like to become certified to teach that class in your market center, just stop by our booth and see Miss Allison, and she will go over that with you. But I just wanted to offer that because that can also bring some of that anxiety down in the market center when they understand it. And it's a great class to teach to the folks in your market center. She brought up something else too that also can help with the anxiety. You know, now what we're seeing is expansion agents that are actually qualifying to be on the ALC. And so, I bring up Billy again. First of all, raise your hand, Billy. They're wondering who the Billy is that I'm talking about. So, Billy was a part-time agent with an independent that then moved to Keller Williams and joined our network. And this is his first full year. Well, it wasn't even 9 months of full time in the real estate business this year, and he qualified to be on the ALC. And so now you've got expansion agents. Yeah, congratulations. That's a big feat. You know, so now you have expansion agents that are also expansion partners that are now qualifying to serve on the ALC. So how cool is that? Very cool. So I just wanted to point that out. So with time ticking down, I'm going to ask you guys one more question, and then you guys can ask us questions. What's the one thing that you wish you would have known if you could go back in time when you first started with expansion in your market center?
I think going back, I think probably the one thing I would, I don't know, I think I have two things on that. So it is simple, not easy, right? We can all wrap our mind around that. And so seeing it, getting it, yes, I see it. I see it. It's beautiful. I love what I'm hearing here. It just makes complete sense. I mean, let's grab the world by the tail. Let's go make that happen. And hey, it's really not easy, which has been, I think, spoken about. So it's probably that, like, be purposeful and going slow to go fast. It's very, a new shiny object is always very exciting. A lot of that resonates with a lot of people in this audience. We all kind of get that and embrace that. So it would probably be just to remind myself, hey, go slow to go fast. And it is simple but not easy. Number two, the thing that I had no idea was really going to come out of expansion for me has been the relationships that have been formed over the course of the last 3 years, definitively. I mean, I cannot even say that at a high enough level. When I sat in a class, with Kristan Cole 3 years ago in Atlanta, Georgia, she had taught Recruit Select, and she was going to stay over and do a little short session about this thing called expansion. And I thought, well, I'm already in Atlanta, and I liked her. She taught a really good class. I'll just stay. You know, it's 4 hours. And that decision to stay and do that has literally created this network of people in my life that I didn't have before. Kristan, Leann, Tony, I have a group of team leaders from around the country who I didn't have access to, who are now some of my closest confidants, who are now part of my Keller Williams. I count them among my team, right? So it's the relationships just blew me away, and the fact that everybody was ready and willing to have that relationship. There was no barrier or obstacle there, and that's been huge for me, huge.
I'm going to be silly for a second. I wish I would have had 10 years more experience. That's what I wish with Keller Williams. But the reality is, you know, Kristan, I don't know about you, but this weekend, I wish I would have had this weekend 15 months ago. because what Gary Keller laid out in the 2 sessions that I've been at with him, especially yesterday, that was such a remarkable session, I look at Gary Keller as a genius. That's how I look at him. He is an absolute genius. He's a disruptor, an innovator, he's a visionary, and he made it very plain and simple yesterday. He said it in very plain words. Expansion is the future of this company. And I really wish I would have heard him or seen him say that. I went to ESO, was so profoundly impacted by, still was trying to figure out how to spell expansion systems orientation. But Kristan does such a phenomenal job teaching that course. But I think that would have been helpful to hear our co-founder, the visionary of this company, put it in such simple terms. I'm just going to lay it out there for my family here in the audience. If you're not on the bus on expansion with ESO and everything that comes along with it, you're missing out. This is the future of the company. This is a huge, gigantic opportunity for all of us, and it is the future of Keller Williams. So that's probably my one thing.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm always looking to up my own personal income, and I always want extra streams of income. And I listened to Gary Keller for years as a team leader. This is the opportunity for you to be literally one person away from Gary Keller. Just one person. Literally. I can go talk to Kristan, who has conversations with him. I can go talk to Cody, he's in the pirate group and he talks to them. I can go talk to Lisa, and Lisa has connections. Every time that you get into expansion, I didn't realize how much I was going to be in the world. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, I have to pinch myself. I love my life because of expansion. And I'm not joking. Like, that sounds so kind of that airy-fairy feeling. I've tripled my income. I have connected with so many amazing people. I have my little bestie group. I mean, it's amazing, you guys. If you're not leaning hard into it right now, you're missing an opportunity that could change your world. And here's the thing that I'm going to add about ESO, and this is not a commercial. We're not trying to do a commercial with you guys. Seriously, don't go if you don't want to go. But here's the thing. It's a business course from an Ivy League school. So unless you graduated from Yale, you're missing out. Now, I do know some of you guys out there that went to Harvard, and I think you're awesome. But here's the deal. You're missing out if you're not going to this, because it is an Ivy League school program. So just get all the other weirdness out of your head or whatever and get there and understand that here's what it does for you. It created another business income stream for me. So I think I've got 5 income streams now. 5. It makes me real happy to be me when I wake up in the morning.
And it makes me really happy that she's happy. But here's what I would tell you about ESO, and I thank you for saying that, because sometimes because of the title of the course, people think, well, I'm not going to expand, so why would I go? Because it's the 13-point business snapshot that Gary gave me that is exactly how he built this company. And it's the language of business. So the other thing I love is that if you come and learn how to build a big business, how to build a business, this is not about how to build a real estate business. It is how to build any business, how to go about it systematically with focus and with models and systems. And so you could go build any business if you just come and learn how to do it. And it's one of those courses that you want to come back to. Lisa, how many times have you been to it? 7?
7 and taught at 10.
So she's taught ESO like 10 times. She's been to ESO 7. She's co-taught it with me and Charlotte. And she's an expansionist. You think, well, why on earth would an expansion agent keep coming back to the class again and again and again? Because it's like our old Recruit Select class. You can't learn it all the first time. And what you'll find is there's always expansion agents in the classroom. We just taught it in Salt Lake City, and William Bustos and his entire administrative team was in the front row. We just taught it in Vegas. Jamie and his administrative team were in the class. They're there because there's something to be learned, and we're all at a certain place in our journey, and it's a different place every time you come. So if you haven't been, I highly encourage you to come and learn the language of business and learn how to build a bigger business, whether it's the market center or you're an agent or you're an expansion partner, how to build a bigger business and how to have the life that you want to have. So with that, are there questions that you have that we maybe didn't answer that we can answer for you?
And for you, you are as expansion director for Kristan. So you talk about how you have training, robust training with the people in your market center, but how you communicate with your expansion partners. So you do that daily, weekly, and how you keep that conversation of happening.
You know what? Tony said this to me too. He said, Leann, what the heck, or how busy are you? And I'm like, well, actually, you know what I learned how to do is I learned how to really lead through people. And I'm not joking. I can't live without Casey. I cannot live without that girl right there. I cannot live without Heather, and she ran away because she hates when I point at her. But I can't live without these amazing women in my life who have given me the leverage to be able to do other things. And oh, by the way, my OP, Cody Gibson, who's the most phenomenal man on the face of the planet, changed my life. Cody has allowed me to have a lot of leverage in my life. So I have a personal assistant that he makes sure that I'm taken care of because he wants me to have opportunity because he knows that it then goes back and grows the market center. So if you're an OP in here, I'm telling you, loosen up just a little bit and think really big because it all of a sudden starts to flow back into your market center as you do it. So to answer your question, Kristan, close your ears for a minute. 30 minutes a week. So I do a regional or I do a national call once a week for 30 minutes, and it's a leadership call because I expect every person on my expansion team to be leaders. Billy and I do coach one-on-one. We were coaching at 7 o'clock in the morning. Here's what else I'm going to tell you guys is that if you want a different life, you have to do what the people that you have to do it. You know what I mean? So for a while I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning and I was working till 8 o'clock at night. So it wasn't pretty in the beginning. Don't get me wrong. This isn't like I just got here. It was a lot. It was a lot. So, your director, so I can do both now through leverage, through leading through other people and making every person around me be a leader. And if they don't want to show up as a leader, we just can't stay in business together because I need that leverage.
How do you find the agents that want to expand in your market center?
So I found them when I went to ESO. It was very, very apparent very quickly that the people I wanted to be in business with were in that room. So I just went boldly right up to them not knowing me from Adam, introduced myself and let them know exactly where I was, exactly why they needed to expand into my market center. I made it my mission to create a story that I was going to tell, and so that when somebody decided they were going to expand to Nashville, Tennessee, one of the hottest housing markets in the United States right now, just saying if anybody wants to do that, when they decided that they were going to come to Nashville, they were going to start with me. I was purposeful with creating that particular arena that I wanted to play in, and I knew very quickly I wanted to be the leader there. So all that being said, I didn't create at all. It was actually Jillian Anderson, the team leader in Folsom, California. She, probably 3 family reunions ago, she had sent out literally a drip. And I was like, what is this? And it looked amazing. And it was, hey, come expand with us in Folsom, California. And I was like, what? Oh my word. So I immediately went right to the 80% company that does all of my follow-up flyers, drips. And I said, hey, I need a marketing campaign. And it's all about me. It's all about Franklin, Tennessee. It's all about why somebody wants to be in business with us. And so I created a marketing campaign. And when you're part of the expansion world, when you have access to the expansion database, who's a member and what that looks like in the toolbox, you just download that to a database and start putting it out there. And so I was intentional with it and raised my hand, and that's where it opened the door of conversation and back to the relationship thing. But that's where I found those individuals. Yeah.
Great.
You just have Kristan Cole as your OP. That's pretty easy. No. Okay. No, but who wouldn't want to expand in Scottsdale, Arizona? You're promoting Tennessee, so I got to promote Arizona a little bit. I mean, the home of the Waste Management Phoenix Open. We got the Arabian Horse Show. We got the Barrett-Jackson Car Show. But yeah, I mean, it's really not hard. I mean, this is the place. This is the mecca of finding talent. Family reunion, ESO, Mega Camp. We are in. This is where you find people right here. So. It couldn't get any easier than this. Building those relationships, making those connections, and of course doing all the other sexy things like drip campaigns. But really, I think it has to do with, are we attracting leaders to us? Can I provide every penny and then some of value to anybody who chooses to select Scottsdale, Arizona as their new expansion location? That's really what keeps me up at night, is how does our team, our executive team, provide that value to every single person in our market center? And yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, Tim Heil got in the elevator with me last night. We were both in the elevator. That's my mic. No, there we are. And Tim said, Kristan, we absolutely want to expand in your market center. He had texted me earlier this week and told me that. He said, can you guys help me find a talented leader? And I said, absolutely. I said, we're already on it. We're on it. Now you think about that. I'm expanding there. Jamie's expanding there. 5 doors. Unity Home Group, Ryan Tolleson. And you think, why would Ryan or why would Tim want to expand in our market center where there's all these other expansion agencies? Well, here's why. We only have 5% of the market, folks. There's still 95% to go get. So there's plenty of opportunity, and each of these, Portland, Tennessee, and Scottsdale, there's lots of opportunity out there. We just have to get them.
I would just say, you guys, be the person that you intend to become. Like, I'm not joking. I know that's so, it's be do have, though. I'm not kidding. Don't think that you're going to go bring on these people when you haven't raised your leadership lid. That means that you have to get up and you have to do what they do, and you have to recruit at a high level. You have to get a lot of your people to family reunion. You need to get a lot of your people to Bold. You need to be that person, and that's how you're going to recruit. Just so that you know, they'll start finding you, because if you don't think that they're looking at those numbers, you're wrong. So if, let's say that you want to get into that world, or you want to have other income streams, then just start recruiting at such a massive level that nobody can ignore you. Be disruptive in that, and then go to the next one and be disruptive.
That kind of answered my question a little bit, but I was going to say to Kristan and then also to the panel, how are you choosing when you decide you want to go to a particular city, like which market center is the most attractive for you to partner with, and then how are you setting yourself up to be that market center?
Here's what I'm going to say. Come to ESO. We spend a half a day on that one topic. Honestly, I'm not trying to not answer your question, but there's so many things that we do to help that goes into the decision making. Because when we go into a city, we intend to stay there. So if the person wins the lottery the next day, that's awesome, and we're not going anywhere. So we are very purposeful about where we go. So we're out of time, but I want to say thank you to our panelists, absolutely. And thank you to all of you for getting up early and coming. And on behalf of Gary